there are so many teams. You saw far more buyers at the deadline, and most of them were unable to do deals than you did sellers. Because some people call it parity. I'll call it a mosh pit of mediocrity.
Ooh.
In the middle of these conferences, notably in both the NFC and the AFC, that everybody is in it, in a sense. I mean, there's some teams that are not in it. Say the Patriots.
Not in it.
Say the Panthers.
Nope.
Say the Cardinals, the Giants.
Ouch.
Not in it.
Not close.
But if you've got 3 wins, you're in it. I know that sounds absurd, because right now the 7 seed in the AFC is the Cleveland Browns. Now they're 1 PJ Walker completion away from 5-2, but they're 4-3 right now. 4-3 is the 7 seed in the AFC. The 7 seed in the NFC is 4-4. So if you have 3 wins as we head to week 9, 999, as we go to Germany. If you have 3 wins, you're in it. In it. And look at the Rangers and the Diamondbacks. For those who don't know, I'm going to tie this all together here as we see the standings in the NFL on the screen. The Rangers and the Diamondbacks clinched their postseason berths. They found out they were going to the playoffs on the Saturday of the final weekend of the season. The day before the season ended, those 2 teams made it into the playoffs. And those 2 teams made it to the World Series, and one of those teams won the World Series. That same mentality is pervasive with nearly the entire NFL right now. And you could rail against the expansion of the playoffs to go to 7 teams. You could rail against the 3rd wild card in baseball. But all you got to do is get in. That's all you got to do. And that's why the trade deadline is that much more interesting, but it also means that's why there are so many fewer teams willing to blow the whole thing up. Because we're in it. I mean, look at the Vikings. 2 weeks ago, they were nothing. Now they've won 3 games in a row. Now look at, I sat here 3 weeks ago. Last time I sat in on this show. Justin Jefferson goes on injured reserve. And we're like, they're done. Kirk's out. Got to get rid of him. Like you're an idiot if you don't get rid of him. Trade high right now. Sell high. Get out. You're not going anywhere. Kirk plays his tail off. Kirk. They're now in legitimate striking distance of the postseason, even though they're not even on this screen. They're not. No, they are. They're 7.
Yeah,
there
7.
They are. Look.
Yeah,
hey, Andrew. Look, they're 4-4. They'd be in right now. So that's why I honestly think they should have gotten Jimmy Garoppolo. I like Josh Dobbs a lot. Friends. But Josh Dobbs is on his 5th team in 11 months. If you include the Browns twice, his 6th team in 11 months. He's going to right the ship. He's not going to throw many picks, at least not at first. And you're in it. But if you could have had Jimmy Garoppolo, I don't know, could you have? If you're the Falcons, couldn't you have maybe had Jimmy Garoppolo? That's what I would have done. That's just me. I'm all over the map here in this official opening segment.
Per usual.
Andrew, are you saying that you feel Jimmy's the answer?
I mean,
He's not better than Taylor Heineke, is he?
I think he is.
Okay.
Really? I think Taylor Heineke is going to take more risks and throw it down the field. There's a fun factor to Taylor Heineke. There's a I'm going to run through a brick wall kind of factor with Taylor Heineke that Jimmy Garoppolo does not have. It was always one of the issues I think that Kyle had with him. Kyle wants you within structure, and I'm smarter than you. I'm going to tell you where to throw it. You better get it there, right? But
Brock Purdy takes chances that Jimmy would never have taken.
Correct, and normally he gets the ball there. The last 2 weeks he is not, for whatever reason.
Right.
Jimmy, if you watch him at practice, is never going to stretch the field, is never going to take a deep shot. That's just not him. He plays safe. He doesn't take the deep shot. I don't think he has a great deep ball accuracy. Any Niner fan will go back to Miami in January of 2020 and tell you the same thing. February of 2020.
I mean, Emmanuel Sanders could have dove.
He could have. Sure. I mean, there are a bunch of what ifs in the end zone the last couple of years in the Super Bowl. Brandon Cooks hangs on to the ball in Atlanta. I think the Rams beat the Patriots. Jared Goff might still be here.
Seems like it. Maybe.
Right?
Yeah.
Same thing.
I'll give you that.
Anyway, I digress. I would rather, if you're the Atlanta Falcons and Arthur Smith, would you rather have Jimmy Garoppolo or Taylor Heineke?
I think he'd rather play Desmond Ridder, but he's being forced into playing Heineke right now, I feel like.
Hold on. You think Arthur Smith is being forced by whom?
Ownership, fan pressure.
I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I don't think Desmond Ritter's that good. I like him. I think he's a good leader. But I think you're exceedingly limited, and I think he's exceedingly inaccurate. Just me. If you're Kevin O'Connell, would you rather play Jaron Hall, Josh Dobbs, or Jimmy Garoppolo?
Kyler Murray.
Okay. But you're assuming the Cardinals would have traded him, and you're assuming the Vikings would ever want to inherit that contract and give up what it would take to get him.
They're just going to pay Kirk Cousins the same type of contract, right, next year?
Or if it doesn't work with Josh Dobbs, if unfortunately this team falls flat, then you're in a great position next year to potentially make a move for a top-of-the-draft quarterback. And with Jimmy Garoppolo, maybe the answer is you're stuck in the middle of mediocrity, right? Like the difference between making the playoffs, where your pick is in the top 14,
right,
and missing the playoffs as the 8th seed in a conference where your pick is in the 20s. Well, maybe not the 20s. It depends. You could be. Yeah. Huge difference. Like go back to the Panthers last year down the stretch. They almost beat the Bucs week 17. If they did, they would have been in position. Tom Brady would have retired a week earlier, right? They would have been out. The Bucs, or rather the Panthers, would have gone to week 18 with a chance to win and in with a sub-500 record to win that division. If you are, at the time, David Tepper, what's more important to you? Getting a home playoff game, which is big. You get that gate.
Big, yeah.
Huge, okay? But you get in as a division winner with an interim coach, which you probably weren't going to keep, despite the fact that he played well. You want to start over. So then you have to keep the coach, and your draft pick is like 17, 18, 19. Or if unfortunately you lose week 17 to Tom Brady and the Buccaneers because a rookie corner gets torched by Mike Evans in the fourth quarter repeatedly, you don't win the division. You can start over with a new head coach. And you're picking 8th overall, which gives you the ability to jump up to 1. Which would you rather have? I'm not saying David Tepper was happy they lost. I'm not saying that at all. But it's amazing how the fate of franchises and the future of franchises can swing.
If DJ Moore doesn't take his helmet off.
If DJ Moore doesn't take his helmet off.
They have another
on
win.
the best deep ball thrown the entire season.
That was amazing.
By Phillip Walker. You know him as PJ.
Browns legend.
Could still be starting this week. Although something tells me it's going to be Deshaun Watson.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.